Oggi vorrei ricordare un mito. Era il 1958.
Today I would like to remember a myth. It was 1958 when Richard Fisher had an insight to build unsinkable boats. Almost 60 years later, that innovation is still critical to the success of Boston Whaler. Today, Boston Whaler produces a range of models from 11 to 42 feet, and this is the Vantage 270. And not only is it unsinkable, it is much more.
Lo scafo viene resinato nello stampo, come tutte le altre imbarcazioni, ma prima
The hull is resin into the mould, like all other boats, but before extraction, a deck is added and welded to the hull, so as to form a monolithic hull. And finally, this is the innovation, a chemical that is injected and through a reaction forms a foam that fills any spaces between the hull and the deck. This way, if you open a hole in the hull, water cannot enter because there is no space to occupy.
Ora, supponiamo di trovarci nel mezzo di una tempesta.
Now, let's say you find yourself in the middle of a storm with the boat completely flooded up to the gunwale. With the method created by Boston Whaler, the boat doesn't sink, but there's more. The US manufacturer says their boat, even when completely flooded, can withstand the extra weight and maintain buoyancy. For example, this model does not sink even if flooded, and with 7 people on board. It is 8.6 metres long and 2.7 metres wide and is a very versatile boat. It is dedicated to the family, but also to the fishermen, depending on how it is equipped. There is no comparison between this and boats with decks, because here there are more sofas or chairs that turn into sunbathing surfaces and other elements for relaxation and comfort. Under the hardtop, the living area is convenient because it is protected. The sofas are very soft. There is soft padding along the sides, and the adjustable back allows you to change the use of the seats. The cockpit is set up according to the owner's needs, and I very much like this solution with a folding couch because it is suitable for everyone and all activities. If you are a fisherman, dedicated fishing accessories can be added. Boston Whaler has great experience in this field, but that's not all. You can use this Vantage 270 to also enjoy wakeboarding because they've installed a stern tower dedicated to the boards. On board you can dine and cook. There's a refrigerator, a sink, and you can also add a grill. And finally, a bathroom, quite spacious. For safety and reliability, we need to consider the quality of materials, methods of construction and installation of the equipment, and for Boston Whaler, this goes without saying. On the hardtop, there is also the radar, a clear sign of an owner who wants to sail the high seas and has chosen one of the safest means that exists in the sailing world. I could list all the accessories, but I would never finish. Let's do this. You think about what you would like to have, and certainly it can be found in their catalogue. For our trial, we leave from the east-side port of Genoa. We talked about stormy situations, but today the conditions are almost ideal, although the sea is only seemingly calm. There are rather intense large waves. The knob on the steering wheel is very handy when manoeuvring in harbour, but I prefer to hold the wheel when sailing in the traditional way. On this model, we have 2 Mercury Verado 225 horsepower engines, but the limit of the Boston Whaler Vantage 270 is 2 engines of 300 horsepower.
Questo modello è proprio nel segno della filosofia Boston Whaler. Voglio dire, qual è la caratteristica
This model perfectly exemplifies the philosophy of Boston Whaler. What I mean to say is, what are the main characteristics of a unit, a boat especially? They are reliability and safety, and the builders have thought of this, not only making the boat unsinkable, but also making them safe for those who pilot them, and of course for all the people on board. But it is the captain who must always find himself in a comfortable setting, which is why we have the ability to cover the entire cockpit with transparent awnings. I mean, today the weather is nice, it's sunny, the sea is almost calm, but it can happen to anyone to be surprised by bad weather. And if you are protected, if you are prepared, if you're not getting wet, well, like this, you can always be lucid, attentive and concentrating on what you're doing. So you can also face situations that seem very difficult.
Quali peculiarità deve avere un'imbarcazione? Intanto una bassa velocità di planare.
Which characteristics must a boat possess? A low planing speed, because when you are in rough seas you will still have proper control during navigation. Planing at a low speed is critical so the boat doesn't slam the waves. This way you won't scare the crew and, more importantly, you can maintain proper control. 12 knots and we're planing. Americans are always very attentive to comfort, and this seat is perfect. It has the right resilience, so I can drive while sitting. I'm not forced to use the lumbar cushions.
We
are sailing at a cruising speed of 22 knots with 3,500 RPM, and I'm really enjoying this boat. They have designed this boat with a deep hull from stem to stern. The dead rise at the transom is still 21 degrees. This means that even heading into the waves, the impacts are always soft. And this is exactly what I'm trying in this moment. Here, a little ways out in the Gulf of Genoa, the waves are higher, and this is exactly the time to try the boat.
It
takes a little bit of time to become familiar with the boat, but when you do, and she responds well, then you can give it a bit of gas. As in this case, 30 knots at 4,500 RPM. The height of the wave crest is about 60 to 70 centimeters. No problem. Observe the spray, how it's thrown away from the hull's spray rail. This is important also for the safety and comfort, because even if there is wind, the spray doesn't come on the decks. The crew doesn't get wet. The more I move away, the higher the waves climb, and the more I push on the throttle.
È vero, lo scafo non è in condizioni ideali, ho visto che non è perfettamente pulito, però sono sicuro che riusciremo a portare...
It is true the hull is not in ideal conditions. I've seen that it is not perfectly clean, but I am sure that we'll bring it up to high speeds, because by raising the trim, feel how it comes off the water and begins to take on the ascent of a speedboat. And in fact, the revolutions climb. 6,200, 6,300, 6,350 RPM and 44 knots. It's also incredibly fast.
Quando si ha a disposizione una barca con una carena così profonda, il vantaggio è che si può cambiare rotta molto rapidamente e controvirare altrettanto.
An advantage of having a boat with such a deep hull is that you can change the course very quickly and just as quickly change back. Look at that response. That means avoiding an obstacle that faces our bow suddenly becomes possible. But remember that you also have passengers on board, so always use caution when using this maneuver. With the waves coming from behind, maybe I should raise the trim a bit, but no, I don't think it is necessary. The bow remains high, its position is incredible. It is always constant in whichever direction I go.
Sapevo cosa significasse navigare con il mito, ma non immaginavo.
I knew what it meant to navigate with the myth, but I never imagined that this Vantage 270 had these comfort features and a setup that would make me feel so good at the helm. It is a Boston Whaler.